Hello everybody, welcome to the video. My name is Pathman Math. Yes, weird name, but rolling with it. So, I wanted to introduce myself, let you guys know what I am going to be doing here in these videos. With this being my first video, I am wanting to create some easy to learn math lessons. Something short, something to the point, and something to possibly keep you guys tuned in and be able to learn some of these lessons that you are learning in school right now, but maybe at a bit of a better rate and bit of a better, let's say, way of learning it. Because I know, as a former teacher myself, that when you are in the classroom, it can sometimes feel a little too much, and the teacher may not be able to provide you all of the time that you are needing to learn these lessons, to learn these facts, learn these equations, formulas, everything and anything between that. So I wanted to take the time to teach you guys some of these lessons here that you may have questions on or struggling with in your own classes at school, and just kind of go from there. I will be focusing mostly on middle to high school grade mathematics, going through algebra, geometry, calculus, anything and everything that you would learn during your time in middle school and your time in high school. Now, based off of you guys and whatever potential questions you may have for me, I can branch out further. I can cover some college level courses. I can cover even something lower tier elementary stuff. I know that there are potentially going to be some younger audience members that are going to be needing some extra help. So for the most part, I will be covering on middle school, high school stuff, but there's always the potential for branching out further. It's all based off of what you guys are needing. So as I go through these lessons, if you guys need extra help in any other area, ask me, and I will do my best. So, welcome to the first lesson. I'm going to cover something that not too difficult, but can be kind of tricky sometimes, just to kind of remember some of the rules that you're needing. Now, I know at the moment all I got is paper and marker here. So as I go through, try and get some more equipment to work with. But I will do my best to provide you guys some tips and tricks, some ways to be able to remember this information a little bit easier. Teach it to you guys in a way that you might be able to understand it a bit better than your teachers in school. Because I know each teacher has their own teaching method, and they're kind of held to following the curriculum. So my goal here, try and help you guys as best I possibly can. Help you guys to understand these different topics a lot easier. Okay? So, first lesson that we're going to focus on is stuff with fractions. Now, when I was going through school myself, fractions were always kind of the one I was like, didn't really pique my interest too much until I started finding a bit of issues and forgetting some of the rules for it. So had to buckle down, get myself situated, and it became a bit more interesting. So with fractions, talking about like 1/2 and 4/3, so on and so forth, dealing with that fraction bar to create a not so whole number. Okay. Now, what I'm going to be covering with this lesson is dealing with something called the common denominator. Now, what I mean by that is you have two terms, two words that you have to focus on. The S there. Two terms you need to focus on when dealing with fractions. You have your numerators and you have your denominators. Now, the numerators is your top number. So when you have your fractions up here, the numerator is your top number that you're dealing with. So in this case, you got 1/2. The 1 is the numerator. 4/3. The 4 is the denominator. Or the 4 is the numerator. My bad. And then you've got your denominators. And the denominators are your bottom numbers. Okay? Now, what I'm talking about here in the case of a common denominator, when you are performing mathematical operations, your addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, not so much with focusing on a common denominator, but your addition and subtraction is where you need to focus on that. Because when you are adding and subtracting fractions, you need to have matching numbers in the case of the denominator, okay? Because right off the bat, when people start to learn about fractions, the first thing they probably think of is, oh, just add the top number, add the bottom number, boom, that's the fraction right there. Not so much, because if you were to turn a fraction into a decimal, which is its other form, trying to do that kind of addition or subtraction, you would get completely different numbers than what the math is actually doing. Okay? So when you are trying to perform, bit of a weird A there, addition or trying to perform addition or subtraction, you need to have what is called the common denominator. Common denominator. And just easy to understand, your bottom numbers need to match. Easy peasy. Addition and subtraction, your bottom number of the fraction needs to match. Okay? So, I'm just going to jump right into it. Save this for later. Just toss it to the floor right there. But let's say you have, let's say 13 over 21 plus 14 over 7. Okay? Now I know something that can be done here with the 14 over 7. I will cover that in another lesson if that's what you guys are wanting me to cover. At this moment in time, just covering the common denominators. Okay? So we have these two fractions here, 13 over 21 and 14 over 7. Now, the way you can go about finding the common denominator is you're needing to look at those two bottom numbers. So looking at 21 and looking at 7. Now here's the thing. 7 is definitely lower than 21. So what we are going to try and do is find a number that 7 multiplies into that we can get to, okay? Now what I mean by this is we can't just change the fraction into something else. We can't just rewrite it into 14 over 21 or something like that to match the 21 on this side. We can't just do that because that changes the actual value of that fraction, okay? So what we need to do is find a common denominator, and by that, it means by essentially a method of what it's called multiplying by 1. Because any number multiplied by 1 is still that same number, okay? So if we multiply by 1, or in this case, another fraction that if you were to look at the number there for the fraction, it would still be 1. So what I'm saying is if we had 1 over 1 here, that's still 1. Still 1. 2 over 2, that's still 1 as well. 3 over 3, still 1. Because essentially a fraction bar is in itself just having you perform division. and any number divided by itself is still 1. Now what we were doing here by saying multiplying by 1 is we're going to take a number here, possibly 4 over 4, 5 over 5, 6 over 6, whatever we want for it, and multiply that to the original 14 over 7 and 13 over 21 if we need to change the 21 here, okay? But for those of you who know it, some of you may not, 7 does go into 21, okay? So we're going to leave this fraction alone, okay? This fraction, good. There we go. There's a good check mark. So we're going to leave the 13 over 21 alone and focus solely on the 14 over 7. And what we're going to try and do is find that common denominator. Find that multiple. So in this case here, getting to 21 in order to be able to accurately add these two fractions together. All right? So my question then is, what number do you multiply to 7 here to get to 21? Okay? So you can run through the multiplication tables here. 7 times 1, 7. 7 times 2, 14. 7 times 3, 21. Boom! Boom! Right then and there. 7 times 3 equals 21. Bam! Now with that, we know that to multiply by 1, we're going to need this one right here, 3 over 3. Okay? Now, when you multiply fractions together, you multiply the two top numbers together and you multiply the two bottom numbers together. Okay? Multiplication and division, you are dealing with combining the two numerators and the two denominators together. Okay, in whatever way that you're needed to. Addition and subtraction, you're only combining the top two numbers, okay, the two numerators. Denominators, leave them alone, but you have to make sure that those denominators match your common denominator. So, common denominator here is 21. We multiply 7 times 3, we get to 21. Now what we need to do is multiply the 14 because we're multiplying by 1. So in this case here, 14 over 7 times 3 over 3 because this is just multiplying by 1. So in this case here, 14 times 3, we are going to get 42, and we are going to get 21 for our denominator here, okay? Now, if you were to plug this into your calculator, 42 divided by 21, you would still get the same number of doing 14 divided by 7 here because it's still the same fraction. All we did to it was change the denominator a little bit, but we elevated the numerator by the same value. We scaled it up, okay? So now, we've got 42 over 21 is our fraction there. And then we're going to go back 13 over 21 plus 42 over 21. Our two numbers here at the bottom, they match now. We have our common denominator. So now all we do is we add the 13 to the 42. We leave the 21 alone, okay? We leave the 21 alone when we are dealing with addition and subtraction, okay? So 13 plus 42, we are going to get 55 over 21. That is our answer here. We found our common denominator. We performed our multiplication by 1 to get that common denominator. And then we were able to add the two fractions together because they shared the same bottom number, the same denominator. So, with this, whenever you are trying to work with addition or subtraction, in particular, with fractions, you need to find that common denominator, okay? Common denominator, and once you do that, then you can perform your mathematical operation. Now, with division and division and multiplication, you don't have to find that because you're focusing just solely on those two top numbers going to combining with the other fraction. Addition and subtraction, though, you have to find that same denominator, the common denominator. All right? So, if I can rip off this page properly, gonna do another problem here, give you guys a little bit more time to kind of see what I'm talking about here. So let's do 17 over let's do 17 over 16 minus let's do 4 over 8. So 17 over 16 minus 4 over 8. Okay. Now, yeah, we'll run with this one. That's fine. We'll try and do something a little different. I'll give you another example here. But this one's quick and easy. You're looking at this. You've got an 8 and a 16 here. They go together. 8 goes into 16. How many times? 2. 8 times 2 is going to be your 16. Bam. So now, multiplying by 1 again, we're going to do 4 times 2 because we have to multiply by 2 over 2 here. And we are going to get an 8. Quick, easy. Once you know your multiplication tables, it's so easy to find these common denominators. So now we're going to have 17 over 16 minus 8 over 16. Same fraction here, just changed a little bit in it how we write it, but it's still going to be the same value. So now 17 minus 8, easy peasy with that. We got a 9 over a 16. Bam. Few steps here. We got our number. We got our answer here. We performed our common denominator finding ritual by multiplying by 1. We got the common denominator. We got our subtraction here. And we got our answer. Bam. Mic drop. Not going to drop the marker, but you understand what I'm talking about. So let's see here. Let's do 6 over 3 minus, let's do 2 over 5. Okay? 6 over 3 minus 2 over 5. Now, quick thing here. 3 does not go into 5. So we need to change both numbers here in order to find our common denominator. So we need to perform our little ritual that we did up here to find a common denominator for both fractions here. Now, the quickest way to do this, multiply these two numbers together, and whatever you get, that is your common denominator. Okay? So 3 times 5, that's a big old 15 right there. Big old 15. Now in this case here, we're going to be multiplying by 1 to both these fractions, but we're going to be multiplying different values here. So in this case, to get from 3 to 15, we have to multiply by 5. So in that case here, we need to do 6 over 3 times 5 over 5. Because again, multiplying by 1, and we're trying to get to 15 here, so we have to multiply the top number, multiply that numerator by 5 as well. So in this case here, our new fraction, but still the same fraction, is going to be 30 over 15. 30 over 15 now, because again, multiplying by 1. Now, looking at the second number here, the second fraction, we got 2 over 5. And to get from 5 to 15, we multiply by 3. So, multiplying by 1 to our whole fraction here means we're going to multiply by 3 over 3. And with that, we're going to get our new but same fraction of 6 over 15. And we've got our second fraction to then go back and perform our mathematical operation. So we got big old 30 over 15 minus our 6 over 15. And all we're going to do is do 30 minus 6, leave the bottom the same, and we are going to get a 24 over 15. Bam! There's the mic drop. There's the marker drop. And that is your common denominator. That is how you find your common denominator, whether you are dealing with needing to change one fraction or both fractions. So look at your two denominators. Look at the larger of the two denominators. And if the smaller of the two can go into the larger one, then you're just needing to change the one fraction. If the smaller of the denominators can't go into the larger of the two denominators, then what you're going to do, multiply the two denominators together. You then find your common denominator, and then you're just following through with the rest of the steps. Multiplying by 1, in this case, the number that you were multiplied by, over itself. That's multiplying by 1. So 1 over 1, 2 over 2, 3 over 3, 4 over 4, 17 over 17, 52 over 52, 107 over 107, 4,906 over 4,906. That is still going to be 1. And that is how you keep your same fraction for the actual value of that fraction, but that allows you to then find your common denominator. That's what you need in order to perform addition or subtraction and be able to solve problems like that. All right, I know may have been a little quick there. If you guys need to rewind the video a little bit, feel free to do whatever you need to. Take screenshots, write down notes over anything I said. Any comments you have about if I need to slow down, speed up, if there's anything in particular that you're wanting to learn, I can cover so much. And I will do my best to help you understand the math that you are trying to learn in school. My name is Pathman Math. I appreciate your time. I hope you were able to learn something, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.